Hey everybody, we're back, we're live, it's great to have you. Yes, good evening. I don't know how to pronounce your name, but great to have you. High Gravity, that's it, thank you. So great to have you guys here. I can see your chat, so feel free to comment along if you're new. If you're watching this in the future, you're welcome to skip around, have fun. If you're my mom watching this in the future, I'd like to say hello to your grandbaby. Here comes a little Nalia. Hi Nalia! Oh, so great to have you. And yes, great to have you all here. And this is KO, if you haven't met KO before. So, we'll, aw, it's a little cold in here. Bye, Nalia. Alright, guys, so we're going to talk about a few different topics today. So, starting us off, we're going to be going with, what do I say? We're going to start with rain. So, I thought it'd be kind of fun to take projectile launchers, teleport them around in the sky, create some really cool projectile, like falling rain effects. You could also use it as snow. And then after that, we're going to show how to use scripts and scripted objects. Just like if you pull an asset out of your asset library, how you can use that. And then after that, we're going to go into the drop down here. You guys are voting. And so far, we got one vote for Minimap, one vote for air hockey, pool, bowling, or, and we'll have to decide that after if that has the most votes. Then you also have options for climbable ladder, snap to grid. And yeah, we'll continue going through that. So keep voting. And we usually start on time in 7 minutes. So I will give it like another minute as we're loading into the world to go ahead and get started. But feel free to leave your questions, comments, all of that in the chat. If you can hear me well, it sounds like you can because High Gravity is responding, so that sounds good. But if there's any trouble, let me know, as I'll see that pretty quickly when you respond. And then, another vote for climbable ladder. Keep those votes coming in. Look forward to seeing what's on top. And, yeah, so let's go ahead and load into a brand new world. Create new world. Blank world. Oh, wait, is there a new one in there? The Land Beyond. Oh my goodness. I saw Camp Getaway, but I haven't seen this one yet. Huh. Be very wary if you use some of these rich environments. Sometimes they're at 100% capacity, and there's no room for you to, like, modify other than delete and then modify, so. But they're really cool. Some good starting points, especially if you're brand new. Okay, so this is August 16th, right? It doesn't tell me. August 14th. There we go. August 14th, and this is live. All right, there we go. And create. We're on our way. Whew. Oh, I did want to note that Oculus's Horizon Live will be starting an hour early tonight, so we will be ending at 6 p.m., which is part of the reason I'm like, let's get going so fast, is because we have the Horizon Live cutting into an hour of our usual time, but super excited to have Oculus's show. It's always a lot of fun on Horizon Live with Oculus 4.0. And yeah, so the votes are coming in. Minimap has got some more votes. Very exciting. Just waiting for potential capacity. Me too. I am looking forward to some more room to work with. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is do a quick intro. So I'm going to just shake it off a little bit. Make sure everything's recording. Yes, we're recording over... Oh, my desktop has the... Sorry about that, you guys. Yeah, that's fine. Like, I could try to hide it, but it never really works. There we go. We'll see how long that works for. Okay, so great to have you all here. It's so great to have you all. And feel free to continue asking questions as we're going through this. I'm going to go ahead and start us with a little intro for this video. I'm really excited for it. It should be a pretty easy one. I don't think it's going to be too hard. Okay. Hey everybody, today we had a request to look at how to make some rain that falls from the sky. And so the first thought I had was, that's going to take up so much capacity, like the amount of objects. And then we were like, wait, what if we used a projectile launcher? And shout out to the guy who did this a while ago. So this isn't an original idea, but it is definitely an awesome one for us to show you how to do on the channel. So very excited. I wish I knew who it was. If you do, leave them in the comments and we'll pin that comment because shout out to that guy. All right, we're heading into build mode. And what we're going to do is pull out a couple objects. So if we open up our... Slow down, there we go. Okay. If we go ahead and open up our menu here and head to the Gizmos tab, we can pull out a script gizmo. We're also going to need a projectile launcher gizmo, and I think that's it. we might want to put in some reference positions. So for the reference positions, I'm going to go ahead and pull out a pyramid, and we'll use this to be like the reference of the ceiling where we want these to come out from. And so with this guy as our reference, this is our projectile launcher. This is our script. The way this will function is on this script, we're going to write some cool code, and then we're going to attach that script to this, and we can actually do that right off the bat. So if we open up the properties panel by pressing forward on our thumbstick, then down here at the bottom right, we can drop down and select script 1. We'll want to rename that here in just a moment. This will then be running the code that we write. And so now that that's running on here, we can duplicate this as many times as we want because we're going to reference this, and this is just going to be a position reference that allows us to move this wherever we want the rain to be. And so you could even animate this so you have like rain following around the map or just kind of moving. And so it should be pretty cool. So let's start by creating some variables. Okay, opening up our script panel here, we're going to head to the variables tab. That's this one at the top right. And the first variable we need to create is that object that references the position. So we're going to call this position reference. And then I like to call it an OBJ for object. So that way we know that it is an object. And so we can make sure it's labeled type object, click confirm. And then we also need to know some other information, like what is the radius that this can spawn around here. So we're going to create another number variable called radius. And I know that some of our favorite math people here are going to tell me that this isn't exactly a radius, because it won't be. It's actually going to take a square radius out. So it goes out on the X this way, out on the X this way, Z this way, Z this way. And so it'll actually be a square, not a circle. So just when we're thinking of radius, it has a slightly longer radius on these edges this way. So just kind of keep that in mind. And then what I like to do with these radius, and this is just kind of a nice trick when you're working with a radius type number, is you can type in something like -10, and then we can use the absolute value to make that a +10 later in our script. So I like to put in the negative form here. It just makes scripting it a little bit easier, so we don't have to like multiply it by -1. And I also wanted to name this script, so let's go ahead and call this rain. And then I want to tell it what it is, so it's on a projectile launcher. So I'm just kind of giving it that formatting. So it's called rain projectile launcher. Very nice. We do need to know when the world is started, so we're going to leave this code block here. I'm trying to think if there's any other variables we need. I don't think we do it this time. So now we're going to go back to our events tab here in the top left, and we're going to create an event loop. And what an event loop is it's something that allows us to make a repeating cycle. So when the world is started is a singular event that happens when the world is started for the first time. And an event loop can then happen repeatedly over and over and over again. And so if we grab when event is received, this allows us to create a custom event. So a default event would be like when world is started, when player enters world, and those type of things that are like default. This is custom because we get to create it and define when it happens, what it is. And so we're going to give it a new name. So we click that button, and the name of this is going to be called Rain Fall on Me, right? Yeah, rainfall. Okay, we'll call it rainfall. That sounds good. And then we'll go ahead and click confirm on rainfall. And then what we want to do is make this event loop. And so we'll come back to our events tab here and then scroll down to send event with delay. We're going to drag this into our rainfall loop. And then we're also going to grab send event to object and put this in when world is started. What this means is it's going to happen on world start. And so all of them on world start are going to happen simultaneously. And I'm debating whether that's a good idea or a bad idea. I think it's a bad idea. So let's actually delete this for just a moment. So we're going to pull down on our thumbstick to delete it. And then with this one, we're going to duplicate it up into here in just a moment. And I'll explain why we're not doing it just yet. So first thing we need to do is give it the name rainfall. So if we click the drop down, you'll find rainfall is now in the list. And now that we have send rainfall to self after 1 second, when this is up here and when world is started like that, sorry, I'm just doing this as a demo. It'll say when world is started, send rainfall 1 second later. So 1 second later, rainfall is received, and then it continues sending rainfall every 1 second. Problem is we don't want rain that's just kind of pew, 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 pew. That's just like way too uniform. We want this to feel a little bit more organic. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this. And this 1 second I'm also going to delete. So we'll go ahead and pull down on the delete. Now you can see we need a delay. And a delay is a number variable. And if we go to our operators tab, operators allow us to kind of modify these values that we're looking at. And if we scroll down, you're going to find random numbers. And so we'll go ahead and grab random number with decimals, dragging that into this delay pill slot. Now that we have this in here, you can see we have numbers values already in that are between 0 and 0. So this would just be 0. That's what it's going to return. We're going to make this a 2-second maximum delay and a 0.2 seconds minimum delay. We don't want this to be super fast because what you need to know about projectile launchers is they can only have 10 projectiles at any given time. So if you fire this at 0.2 seconds 10 times, that means in 2 seconds, all the projectile launchers will just disappear. And so if the rain isn't falling that fast, it's not going to work. So I think we should actually set this to 0.5 seconds because we can always have more projectile launchers. We can't always have more rain droplets. So let's see. Now we've got 0.5 seconds, which means it's got to take 5 seconds to fall down. That should be more than enough time. So that is good. We got a 2-second delay there. So now we've got this kind of random organic nature of the rainfall. And we can then duplicate this into when world is started so that each of these projectile launchers will all start at random intervals on the world start. So now we've got this kind of really nice organic start, and it continues with that exact same pace, which is great. Okay, so we got when world is started, we've got our rainfall loop. So then the question that I always like to ask is, what am I trying to do? And what we're trying to do here is make an action happen. So if you go to Actions tab, you're going to find there is an option called Launch Projectile. And we're just going to go ahead and grab Launch Projectile for now. You'll notice there's another one in there that allows you to define speed. And I'll just show you what those both look like right now. So you can see that one says Launch Projectile from self, which is an object, or launch projectile from self at speed. So this allows you to modify the speed. We're going to go ahead and delete this for now. And launch projectile from self should now have our projectile launcher continuously firing. Look at that. So we're already on our way to having some nice rain droplets. Like we can just put this up here in the sky and that should now be kind of firing some rain droplets. And what I'd like to do at this point is customize the rain so it looks nicer. So if we open up the properties panel, bring this over here so it's nice and big for you to look at. We have options to make it sphere, which seems like the right type to make that. We don't want it to be a rocket or a pistol. So sphere is definitely good. The speed seems a little fast. I'd go down to maybe like 10 or 15. And so that should fall. Oh yeah, that's a lot nicer. And now it's starting to look a little more like a droplet, doesn't it? So with it looking more like a droplet, I think the next thing we need to do is change the trail length. So right here you see an option for trail length. Let's go change this to be about 0.1. So a 1/10 of the size. Oh, that's almost perfect. Wow, look at that. That is a rain droplet. Oh, that is it. So now we've got our rain like dripping. And so at this point you have built drips, right? So that's awesome. If we want to make this blue, we could simply type in a 0 here. And now we've got this kind of like water droplet color, which is not bad. But what we can do, that's a new trick that I recently learned, is if we open up our menu, head to the Style tab, you can make a custom color from this drop-down manual color slider. Select any color of blue that you like for your rain droplets. The style settings don't matter in this case, but if you take this paint tool selected, so thumbstick to the left to switch to your paint tool, you can then like hit that and it changes the color. So you can see this is the color value for this color of blue. And I really like that. That's a nice color of blue. So fantastic. We've got our rain set up. And that is looking really good. We could even give it some gravity, which would be kind of unique. That's a really unique idea. I'm going to leave it where it is for now. And, ooh, wait. Actually, if we add gravity, then it should have a natural, like, slow. Ooh, but do we want the pace to be the same? So if we leave it how it is, the pace is always this way. So if you had it attached to a cloud, you might want it to be using gravity, so it kind of looks like it's gaining up momentum. But I think in our case, we want to use it always at the constant speed. Okay, got it. So this is good. I'm going to close out of this. And then to show you what we're going to do later to make this look like an actual rain cloud, like rainfall, we grab our duplicate tool and just grab a copy. You can even thumbstick to the right to duplicate a bunch of these copies. And then you start getting, you know, like that, right? Like now it's starting to feel like rain. I'm going to go ahead and undo all that because that's what we're doing later. And so very cool. We need to start with this first one that we've got. And the next task is we want to make it like teleport around so it's always in a random position. And what I want to do with this cube is make it non-visible. So if we open up the properties panel for this pyramid, we can then make it non-visible and turn off collidable as well. And this will just be a reference object. So we're going to leave this properties panel open for a second because we forgot to open up the properties panel of this one. And you'll see down here on the bottom, there's a reference pill that's empty for the position reference object. So we grab this pyramid pill here and drag it into the empty slot here. And now we have formed a reference to this pyramid object. You'll note that when you reference an object, it becomes animated, but we're not animating this. So I'm going to go ahead and select none, so that way it doesn't cost us more on our capacity meter. With that set up, we can start working on the next most exciting thing of this projectile launcher, which is moving it around. So I'm just going to quickly read through your messages and then we'll continue. I have tried to enter the Vidyuu bundle, but I freeze up every time I enter. Interesting, Dion. Have you tried importing it into an empty world? We're actually going to do that in the next tutorial, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, you want to import it into an empty world. You do not want to try to enter the world. Nate says, watching while I'm teaching myself Spark AR. My life has become consumed by meta products. That is hysterical, Nate. I definitely understand. Me too. Oh my goodness. All right, so the next step is we need to head to the motion tab. So here on motion, you're going to see there's instant motion move to. This is where we want to go. You could do move to over time and do some weird stuff with that. Like, we're not even going to get into it because we today just want to use move to. So we're going to grab move to, drag this over. But I do encourage you to play around with some of these code blocks. You're going to see stuff in here like rotation and scale. I mean, scale doesn't really apply to this, but there's lots of fun code blocks to play with. And I encourage you to try them out sometime and see what they do. It's a lot of fun to just play. Okay, so right now it's moving self to 100, which is why it's no longer there, and it's now down there at the spawn point. And so we don't want to move to this position. So I'm going to select this and pull down delete. At this point, it might even be wise to go to the script tab of your build menu and hit stop, so that way it's not like moving around while we're trying to write the script. One second while I grab a sip of water. Thanks, Jackal Dude. Also, congratulations on that latest video being an absolute banger. My goodness. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Jackal Dude just recently released the video on our channel for TV. It's like, I can see your messages here. You could put like Netflix or this video. Like there's times where people are literally watching this live stream in Horizon. Anyway, it's like crazy. So definitely check out that video. It's the most recent one on the channel, and it's so good. All right. Developing Gardener says, hello. Hello, Developing Gardener. Great to have you. It is my pleasure, honestly. I love doing this, so thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Okay. So the question we have to ask ourselves is, what is this position? And let's start like baby steps. I like that suggestion from High Gravity. I know it's not relevant to this, but love the word. So we're going to start with a baby step here, which is to head to the Operators tab. And under Operators, you might have seen there was an option for Object. So there it is. Under Object Transform, you're going to find Position of Object. Let's go ahead and select that pill, drag it over here to this position. And now we can reference that position of that object we just referenced in the Properties panel. So on the Variables tab, we can drag the reference pill for that object into this slot where it's asking for an object. Now that that's there, we can see that we're moving self to that position of that object, which allows some really nifty things, right? So like just from this, we can go to this pyramid, and just to showcase it in build mode, if we hit play and then drag this around, every time a new raindrop comes in, it comes in at the position of this. And that is pretty nifty. So you can already see that's off to a really good start. In fact, woo, I'm excited. I'm so excited. So then the next question we wanted to ask is, we created that variable earlier for radius. How do we modify this position to be within like a, I don't even know how to put it, but a plane, right? So we want to create a plane out in this position field. So we want to define this position to this position over here. Might sound pretty hard, but it's actually not that difficult. So the way we're going to do this is by grabbing this move to, I like to just duplicate, so thumbstick to the right, and this allows us to have a copy of this to work from. I can then grab this position of and delete it. A lot of scripting in Horizon requires your brain to think backwards about like, what is the way that I put these things together? And so I know that I want to take this position and I want to add to it another value. So we have to go to the Operators tab and grab the plus operator from the top and drag that into here. And the two things we're adding are that position right there. So we're grabbing position of, and then we want to add to it a position offset. So somewhere in that plane. So now we can go ahead and delete this. And so this plus on the right side, if we go to operators again, scroll down to vector, and vector is a fancy way to say X, Y, Z, or there's a lot of things a vector can be, but in this case, just think of it as an X, Y, Z value. So we'll go ahead and drag this position vector over here into the plus symbol, and now you can see that we get to fill this out. Now we know that X, Y, and Z represent positions in space, with X being one plane, Y being the up and down plane, and Z being the other plane. And so we do not want to move up and down. We only want to move horizontally, yes. And so we can put a 0 into the Y slot. So we can just grab this number pill here, or we're actually going to go over to our values tab and grab the number input from the value input section of our values tab, placing that into the Y slot. So now that we got this 0 here, we want a random value between -10 and +10 in both the X and the Z. It just so happens we were using random numbers with decimals earlier right here. So if we grab this and pull this up into here, we can then modify that, which I'll do in just a second. But I wanted to make a really important note here. If we go to the operators tab and back up at random number, you're going to notice that there's random number with decimals and random number. Oftentimes I find a mistake that I'm making is I will select random number rather than random number with decimals, and I'll be like, it's always teleporting to the same positions. Why is that? Shouldn't it be a random position? It's because I used this one, which is an integer. So it's basically rounding to the nearest whole number rather than giving you the decimals, which makes it, anywhere in that position. So definitely make sure you're using the one with decimals and not this one. So with that, we need to delete these two values. So I'm going to go pull down to delete here, pull down to delete here. And you remember from earlier, we talked about using this as -10. So now that it's inputted as -10, I can drag this and put this into the minimum. For the maximum, we want it to be +10. And to make a negative a positive, there's an operator on the operators tab. Scrolling to the top, you'll find absolute value. It's ABS for short. And what this does is make a negative a positive. And so there we go. We're going to get the absolute value of the radius variable, which returns +10. So now we're getting a random number between -10 and +10. We'll then duplicate this into this Z position here. And now we have a plane of this -10. And so to kind of describe this in a little more detail that hopefully helps make this a little more sense, this is a position in space, right? This object represents a position in space. And then we have X values and Z values, not necessarily representative of the X and Z of this object. Like if you rotate it, it doesn't change the X and Z, it's still of the world. So world space X and Z is also in these coordinates right now. And so we're going to go somewhere between -10 that way, -10 that way, +10 that way, and +10 that way. And that's what this is doing, is it's allowing us to modify this position by adding to it with this new random number. Okay, so we've set up our new move to position. It's going to be all sorts of random. And now we're going to hit the play button. There it goes. And like that, we now have just little droplets here and there. And if you wanted just some light little drizzle in your world, this could be a nice way to add just a little light drizzle. We want to go a little bit more than this, and I'm noticing they only take about, let's count that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yeah, they only take about 5 seconds, and I think we can really get a lot more out of this than it's currently doing. So right now we're doing 0.5 and 2. Let's go ahead and make this between 0.3 and 1. Which is going to make this a little bit more dangerous, but what we should see is a lot more rain droplets. There we go. So now we're getting a lot more rain coming out of this. That is looking really nice. And so the next thing we want to do is create a lot more of these. So to really make this look like rain, we're going to stop the world, and then we just need to duplicate this a bunch. And so I like to use the array tool when I'm doing this. So I'll select the object by dragging through it, then grab my duplicate tool, come up close. I'm going to turn my snapping off and then drag this over. So I've got a copy. And now that I've got it wherever I want it to be, it doesn't really matter because it's going to be randomly moving. I can then let go and then see that it turns into array. And what array allows you to do is duplicate with equal distance. So there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. We've got 10 of these, which is going to give us a ton of rain droplets. So let's go ahead and hit play. And now I'm going to go into the world. And you can see we've got really nice rainfall. Honestly, like just that alone, especially in a space where like we can't have tons and tons of droplets with everything going on in our worlds, this is looking really nice. I think the distance could be a little bit further. but you've also got to remember the further away the distance is, the more it's going to be a problem. But wow, this is so cool. This is so cool. I'm going to head back into build mode. And you can really see what's happening here. It's just absolutely massive. I think the -10 wasn't wide enough. So let's go ahead and make that like more like -20. So we'll double it. I'm going to go ahead and stop the world. But it's important to note that when we double this, it's going to make it 1/4 the amount of rain. And I want to just give you a visual understanding of why that is. And so if we grab this cube, and I'm going into the properties panel real quick, where we can change the scale value to be 10 by 1 by 10. And so right now, we are using this, but it's actually 4 of these, right? So it's a 10 by 10. Oops, try that again. And 10 by 10, 10. Okay. Excuse me while I work on my cube there. So this is the current area that we're using, right? It's not very big, but we want to double this to 20. When we double this to 20, it is not just like double, it's actually 4 times bigger. So you can see that it becomes this massive. And so we're going to need 4 times as many projectile launchers to achieve the same rain effect. So it's really important to note that. And with that kind of example, we're going to go ahead and delete these. And I think we'll start by seeing what it looks like thinned out, and then we'll add more projectile launchers. So back in our script, we can head to the variables tab, where we'll change the default radius here to be -20. There we go. And now when we hit play on the world, we can see what that looks like. So script and play. Yeah, so it's a little bit more spread out. It's not as bad as you might think, though, because you can see them off in the distance. And the one thing I think we should do just to really feel what this feels like as rain is go to our build tab, gizmos, and pull out the environment gizmo and set the environment to be overcast. There we go. Now we're really looking like it's raining. Nice. This is not bad at all. It's still not enough rain droplets. I think I'd love to see what this looks like with at least double. So let's head into here, and we're going to stop the world so that we can easily duplicate these without any issues. We can then select our set of 10 right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I hope that's 10. And then snapping off for the duplicate. Is it okay if I go crazy? I hope you're okay with this. I'm sure someone's saying, yes, this is crazy. We're going to go as many as we can. Why not? Like, why not, right? Let's just see if we push this engine as hard as we can. We don't really recommend doing this, but I do think it's fun and it's worth playing around just to see what the future could hold. Look at that. That is so cool. Oh, that is so cool. Yeah, and if we go to like one of the edges over here, you get to see a lot more. So you can imagine if you put this out as like a landscape view, you really make something that looks really nice. And then you'll remember that we had set this up so that the water or the rain can move around. And so what's really cool here is if we go into build mode, oh my gosh, look at this, it's mayhem. Oh, that's so cool. It doesn't seem to be that laggy either. But I imagine if we added a bunch of people, we added a bunch of things, that's when the lag really starts to come into play. And so, yeah, you can see some of these are still like, what? We're going to go and try to select all of these. And it looks like we're missing a few. So I'm going to delete. Or these are the ones I'm going to keep. So I'm going to slide these out of the way and then delete everything else. Okay. And delete. Oh, what is capacity currently was that question. So it's important to note that right now, world capacity doesn't really get affected by projectile launchers. So if I drag this down to 4 players, we'll see that our simulation animation is at 0% and objects is only at 1%. And with a ton of these, it's like, it's not really hurting our capacity. What it's hurting is our frame rate. So it's sometimes when you get to a level like this, where you're building really impressive things, it's less about what does the capacity meter say. And it's like, what does my intuition say? Like, I know that if I get 16 people in here, it's going to lag like crazy. So if you can test this too by, publishing your world, inviting 16 people and being like, okay, I was right. It doesn't work with 16 people. Or if you've got a bunch of animated things happening. So definitely, capacity meter is a great place to start, but when you start getting higher and higher with your skills, you're going to have to use a little bit more intuition, a lot more play testing. Okay, so we've got these selected, and so here's where things get really neat. We've currently seen this working around this center point, but if we open this properties panel, you can now add animation to it. So if we click animated and then click record animation, we can then slide our rainstorm and just have the rainstorm move off the scene. So you could imagine a passing rainstorm, and then maybe it eventually comes back. So you could even put it on back and forth. And then the speed of this, we'd set to be like 0.01, so it's really smooth. And with that set up, we can make this start on world start. So turn on that, and now our rainstorm will slowly fade away. So we'll go ahead and hit play, and we should be able to watch this happen. It's really slow, question mark? Is it even moving? Oh, it's moving. It's really slow, but it is moving. And so that's like the speed you'd want it though, right? Like you would really want this to slowly move out of the scene. And just for our demonstration today, I think I'm going to increase the speed of this. So let's go and increase the speed to 0.1, so 10 times faster. There we go. Now it's really moving. Okay, so if we come in here, you can then see, it actually feels like the rain is moving that way because there's less drops spawning over here. That is so crazy. I didn't think it would feel like it was moving, but it really feels like it's moving. That is so cool. And then it's just gone. So that's, yeah, lots of cool things to do here. If you have any more questions about rain in Horizon, please leave them in the comments. You could even use this to make snowfall. So just to really quickly demonstrate snowfall here, the way to make snow is actually super simple. You take this exact same setup, open up the properties panel, and then from the properties panel of this, we would change this into have no trail length. So we'd make the scale of the trail 0. And then we'd want to set this to be a bright white. So we'd go 1, 1, 1, which is going to make this nice and white. And then right now it's in the shape of a water ball. And if we use potentially like I'm wondering if a pistol shot would work. I'm thinking it might, but we'll see. The most important part of making it look like snow is the speed. So I'm going to say that one more time. But the most important part of making it look like snow is the speed. So let's go ahead and change this down to 0.1. And this should look really interesting. I'm not sure it's going to be perfect, but we'll go ahead and see what that looks like. So if I come in here, oh, wow. We're on the right track. It almost looks like stars because they're not falling fast enough. So remember that loop speed we had to look at? Oh, that is so cool, though. Okay, we're going to push this. We're just going to push this real quick because this is too much fun not to. Don't get over there. We need you over here, dude. Okay, and I'm going to delete him anyway. Okay, so what we need to do is make these projectile launchers fall faster because they're falling too slow. And they also need to, so we're going to set the speed to 0.5. We need more projectile launchers to make this function like snow. So we're going to duplicate this like a lot of times. And the thing about snow to me is that it starts at different heights because this starts in such a way that it's all in one layer until it takes like however long it takes to fall. So what we need to do is go to the projectile launcher. Here are these settings. This could work. So remember how we were doing 0 up here? Let's just duplicate this into the 0 slot. So now we're adjusting the height that these spawn in at. And we'll go ahead and hit play. And now, if I come in as a player, we get kind of like, they look like snow droplets. They're not perfect. It's weird that they have a trail considering I turned off trails. It's almost sparkly snow. It's quite interesting. We could turn down the loop speed, but this is just the type of stuff you could play with. Oh, and it's moving that way. Oh, it's moving that way. I forgot we had motion on it. I was like, where's it going? But anyway, super duper cool. Yes, Retro, this will remain on the channel. We're actually going to edit it and upload it again in the future as an individual standalone. But for now, you'll have this live stream that you can always refer back to. And thanks so much for asking. So yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Make sure to subscribe, leave comments. We love it. Can't wait to see you. We have live streams every Sunday. That's at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. You can see more great content like this, and we will see you in Horizon. Bye! The live stream's not ending, though. If you're new to the live stream, we just record videos and then edit them later. Anyway, so good. This was a lot of fun. I am so glad. I don't remember who asked for this, but this was a lot of fun to work on. So hope you guys have enjoyed that. I'm going to go ahead and delete all of these projectile launchers except for like one. And then we're going to make a little asset out of this because this is really cool. And And apologies it takes me so long to get assets into the asset library. Just so busy. But I will get this probably in about the next month. Sometime in the next month, this will get added to the asset library. This is going to be called rain/snow. And then I'm going to put this in my asset library called please sort and create. Okay. Awesome. So there's a new asset that we've just made. Fantastic work to us. I'm going to go ahead and change us back to a less moody scene. Overcast is a little overcast for my liking. I prefer that daytime vibes. Nice. I'm going to go leave this over here so I don't lose track of it. And then I also wanted to check and make sure we deleted all those projectile launchers. You might have seen they were kind of freaking out a little bit. So there's a couple ways to check. So the way that everybody can check, you're like, what are you saying? Is you select this, and then hit delete, and then it goes 1, 0, 0, 0, and that's how you know you've deleted everything in the world. I'm gonna go ahead and undo that, and then I have a way to double check. Don't tell anybody that this exists. Yep, we're good. Okay, so guys, just want to make sure our world is clean. Does it take a lot of animation capacity? It does and doesn't at the same time. Like in terms of capacity on the server side, possibly depending on the amount of like things happening. But in terms of headset capacity, like frame and animation, it can get a little much depending on what's happening in the world. So definitely worth being cognizant of that. So you can always put it in test mode and try it that way. Okay, I'm going to read through your questions real quick, and then feel free to keep asking them, by the way, because I can see them all here. Let's see. PC can remote. Oh, yeah, you got to try it out, High Gravity. It is so cool. I used to do it via wire. I'm doing it non-wired now so that I can plug into power when I need to. Thanks, Craig. Great to have you again. Thank you, Jackal Dude. Rain here and then gone just like that. You just simulated Florida. Oh, that's funny. Yep. So great, you guys. I see some great votes coming in. Feel free to keep voting. We'll be using that in our next portion. We have another really short... we have a really short segment coming up where we're going to go through how to use assets. And then we're going to go into building a mini map, it looks like. If you don't want to see a mini map, go vote for something else. But that looks like what we're going to next, which is going to be a lot of fun. We also have some other great topics in there you can vote for. So great to have 21 votes. How many people are on the live stream right now? Oh, 9, 10. That's okay. That's okay. I was like, dang, how do we get 20 votes? That's amazing. Well, thank you guys so much for voting. That's so cool. Appreciate y'all. And we're going to go ahead and start with the question that we had earlier. I can't remember who asked it, but basically the question was, how do you use like a script? So for instance, if you go to the asset library, let's see if I can find something good. Let's see. Game items. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of their asset library because it's like, I don't know them by heart. Like the Vidyuu ones, I can just like tell you everything about them. But let's see. Yeah, let's go through the Vidyuu one because it's just so easy. Okay, so first step to get the Vidyuu assets, if you don't have them, is comment your Oculus username. Once you have accepted the invite, you'll find that under your collaboration invites over here. So once you go through, click see details and accept the invite, you'll have access to one of 4 of the Vidyuu Essentials bundles. And what most people do, which is no mistake of their own, is they click on this button that says Edit World. You don't want to do that. It'll often end up with you not arriving or being in a world that looks messed up. The world is not messed up. I know it looks like it is if you go there, but it's not. And so what we do is we click New World, and then we select Empty World, and then this would be called Essentials Copy, and today's date would be August 14th. And this is nice because there is an update usually once or twice a month. And so that way you know which copy it is. And then we can click create. Now we're going to end up in an empty world just like this. Dion's voting for Domino's. Nice. Yes, go ahead and vote. Like, wait. Oh yeah, Domino's is up there. Okay, cool. I was like, yeah. The Shoes asked, do you make an update loop or tick by just making a while loop that does not end? No, while loops cannot be used that way. It's a good question. There is a better way to do that. So I'm going to quickly show you that before, and then we'll hop into the actual what I was going to show you here. So to quickly show you the loop, because it is really, really simple, pull out the script gizmo, and you're going to find there's actually an event for this. It's called onUpdate. If you drag this over, this runs on every tick. It also returns your delta time, and you can load it on default or pre-physics. I'm not 100% on how this works. I've only used default, but I know that if you're an expert user, you might know how to use that one. So that is how you can do that. But if you want it to stop running, if you don't want it to run, you could use a Boolean, or you can create an event loop like this, where you say, when event is received, send event to object, send event to object. And it's important to note that send event with delay of 0 seconds is not a 0-second delay. It still has like 0.05 seconds. It's really fast. But if you send my event like this, way faster than sending it with a delay with 0 seconds. So when you want the fastest my event, kind of custom event, use my event. Otherwise, use the onUpdate. So hopefully that answers your question. All right. You got your... Oh, thanks for the notification, Jackal Dude. Appreciate you. Hide. Thanks for letting me know. Really appreciate it. No worries, Shoes. They literally just added that like in the last 2 weeks, so it's relatively new. I've barely used it, so totally okay. Okie dokie. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do this. Shake it out. We're going to start a brand new one. Here we go. Yep. Hey everybody, I've heard that you want to know how to get the Vidyuu Essentials bundle. Well, the first thing you can do is comment your Oculus username on this video here so we can get you added to the bundle. Once you're added, you're going to receive a comment in reply that'll have some instructions in it, and you're going to be added to the collaboration, which you'll find over here on the Create tab under Collaboration Invites. When you go to the Collaboration Invites, you can accept it, and once it's accepted, back on your Create tab, you're going to find either copy 4, 2, 3, or 1, whichever one you're added to, doesn't matter. The next step you need to do is go click New World, and you're going to slide over and click Create Blank World. We just did that, so that's where we just arrived, so no delay on that there. We're here in the blank world, but it's important to note that you do not want to hit the Edit button. So you see where it says Edit World here? This is a common mistake. It's no biggie. It looks like that's what you're supposed to click, so I apologize for that. But here's what you're supposed to do, actually. You go ahead and click on the bottom right where it says Info, and then up here in the top right, you're going to see a 3-dot icon. We select that, and we can click Import World. This is going to bring us a copy of the asset pack, and so in just a moment, it's going to load in, and it'll be a little bit laggy. So if you are easily made seasick or motion sick or feel uncomfortable in VR, definitely close your eyes for this moment. Another quick trick you can do is open up your menu and then click the stop button to prevent all the scripts from loading when the world is loading in. And so any moment, we should see this start loading in. There it is. So you can see it coming in below the world. And we've purposely put it below the world so that if you had stuff up above, it doesn't load in on top. But I do not encourage importing this into a world that already has stuff in it. You might break the world. It is not recommended in the slightest. And so I'm going to show you what we do recommend here just right now. And I'm going to go ahead and delete this guy since we have one down there. Oh, we got to wait. Sorry. I'm like jumping the gun here, but it is important to wait for everything to finish loading in, which it looks like it just about has. Very nice. So we'll go ahead and delete this guy here. And then coming down here into the asset world, you can find tons of amazing assets in here to get you started. And we'll go ahead and click play. And so if you haven't seen these in person and want to see them before importing them or getting a copy, you can do that by opening up your menu, go to the Worlds tab, and if you search for the Asset Showroom, I'm not sure if anybody else has named theirs this, but Asset Showroom by Vidyuu, you'll see pops up. There it is. And if you visit that world, you will be able to visit this world, basically. It's the same world. And so there's just a bunch of copies of it to help you guys get access. Now, it's important to note when we go to the script tab and hit play, you're going to experience a little bit of lag because all of the scripts start running simultaneously. And this world is one of the most scripted worlds I've ever seen, built. I don't know. It's just like, it's crazy. I've been purposefully deleting scripts. So it's a bit of a big one. And I've also made it so that the delay on the maze gen is a little bit slower to give us a nicer... Oh. We'll just cut that part about the maze out. It's fine. Okay, so we'll keep going. Okay, so you've got access to the world. Now, how do you get these into your world? So the easy way is you find something you want. So let's say we wanted this microphone. This is pretty popular. You've probably seen this in a lot of worlds. So the first thing you're going to do is click with your index trigger and drag through the scripts first. That's my recommendation, is dragging through the scripts first, and I'll show you why in just a second. Then make sure you drag through the item itself. Now, this is all of the parts that are involved with this object, and we can also select the Vidyuu mic information down here so that we know how to use it. And then we open up the properties panel by pressing forward, which opens up the selection of 4 objects properties. Sorry, just got a little bit of lag there. Should be back any second now. There we go. Almost. Almost. You guys see the loading bar? Or is it just me? I don't know. Okay, I think we're almost done loading. My goodness, am I getting some lag? Oh, you know what this is? Remember how I just told you the maze? The maze is causing this lag. So once the maze is done generating, it should stop with the lag. So apologies for that. Yeah, I'm like, the maze is so cool, but it's also really intense. It's running a lot of pathfinding algorithms to generate it. Thank you, the Poncho. Appreciate you. Need an HP punch script? That's a really interesting question. I'm going to think about that a little bit longer. Okay. All right. Now we have this selection of 4 objects. And from the top, you're going to see this button here, which allows you to create a new asset and add it to your asset library. We'll go ahead and call this the Vidyuu mic, Vidyuu space mic. You can apply a description if you'd like. You can also select where is it going, and that sometimes happens. It's really, really annoying. We should probably do it the regular way. Let's stop the world. So, sorry, I'm not telling you, like, I'm not even sure where to go. Breathe. Let's head back into our menu. I've actually stopped the world just to make this a little bit easier. And then if we head to this build tab and down under assets, there's a new way to add assets, which is by clicking this button. I really don't like this method. I don't think it's user friendly, but it does remove that problem that we just had where it stops selecting the objects. So now we can select the objects same way as before. Press with index trigger, drag through the objects we want to select. We can also select the text down here if we'd like that for the instructions. Then click confirm. And so what was happening previously is if you accidentally clicked with your index trigger, it would deselect it and cause your entire typing. And I've done this so many times where I was typing a long description and then it like closes the panel. So, but this method might be the better way. Okay, now we'll call it Vidyuu mic, maybe. I also really hate these new keyboards. I'm sorry. Oh, old school, right? Oh my goodness. Vidyuu mic and... All right, we're going to call this the Vidyuu mic. We can give it a description if we'd like. The folder, we can select where is it going. I'm going to put it in the please sort folder. You can give it a thumbnail if you took a photo of it. And then we've got the object selected. We can then click create, and it's now added to the please sort folder in my asset library. All right, so now when we go to our other world, we can pull out the Vidyuu mic. And we can do that with any of the assets you see here. So lots of awesome assets to play with. Definitely check these all out on your own time. And now we're going to go back into preview mode and head back to the world we were just in. So we'll go click on create. You weren't there. We're going to go back to the world we were just in, but you weren't there. You guys were, though, y'all in the chat. So great to have you guys. Okay. So then the next step is to head back into the world that we were working on. So we were in this one here. So I'm going to go click Edit World to get back. And then when you're done with that copy that you just made, you can either keep it for later. You can delete it if you'd like. That's all up to you. So feel free to make as many assets as you would like. And I'm going to take another water break. All right, so we're back in our world that we were working on earlier. I can head into build mode, and from build mode, back on the assets tab, I can now go to my please sort folder and pull out the Vidyuu mic. And now that we have this microphone here, it's looking pretty nice. I've got this information. You've probably used this microphone before. Use index trigger to turn it off and on. You got your Y and B to turn it global or extended if you use the bottom one. So lots of cool options there. We'll go ahead and delete the text now that we know how to use it. And the thing you might be thinking is I want to customize this microphone, right? So customization is with assets, like it's so key. So I love this mic. It's already really good. So the first thing you could do is stop the world so it stops falling on us. And then we could go select this like silver tone here. And if we go into the style tab, we can make this into a nice goldy color, right? Like now we've got a gold version of the mic. And be very careful as you're painting it. But if you can do, oh, that's kind of nice. There we go. And so now we've got our golden version of the mic, but what if you designed your own mic and want to just use the script that's on this? So that's like the other most popular question. So let's go ahead and pull out a microphone. Yep, I designed my own mic. I want to use this one because it looks more like an ice cream cone, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, we'll make the ice cream cone microphone. There you go. And it'll be 2 scoops of chocolate. There we go. Yep, golden chocolate with a really nice solid ice cream cone finish. There we go. So this is our microphone that we have so elegantly designed, and we can now select it, and we need to replace this mic with this mic. So the method that I recommend for something that's as complex as this mic is, because it's got lights, it's got text, is we select this. I'd like to line it up with this microphone here. So I'm going to line it up nicely. And then what you do is open the properties panel of the microphone. And inside of here, we've got an option to zoom in. So let's start by doing that one time. So we select zoom in. And now we've zoomed into this microphone, and you can see we can actually like interact with all these pieces, which is awesome. So now we're going to go ahead and click the zoom out button, which allows us to leave. But it turns out if we click one time, select through the objects that we want to select, we've selected these 3 objects now, and then we zoom in, these objects come with us. We can then click one time to let go of them. And I think we might have experienced a bug. Let me try it again. And zoom in. Oh, darn it. I hate this bug. This bug has happened to me a few times recently. And basically you have to go to your personal space and come back to fix it. So we're going to do that real quick. It's a little tedious, but you basically return to home and then come right back. All right. Oh, my notes are back up? What? Thanks for letting me know, Jackal Dude. I'm sorry. I don't know why that's happening. That's so crazy. Nope, it's the little thing's up. I can't close the little thing, and I'm worried that my closing of the little thing is what's causing the big thing to pop up. And so I'm not going to close it. All right, and then to get back, we go create tab, and then I'm going to delete this world because I've got so many copies of this. It's not even funny. We're going to go back to here, click edit, and then we'll go get back where we were. But yeah, keep letting me know if stuff pops up, because yikes. Sorry about that. All right. Heading back into build mode. Let's try that, and we'll pick up right where we left off. Wait a second. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right, so what we'll do is we'll go ahead and drag through these. So now that we've selected these 3 objects, we can press the zoom in button, which is going to bring us inside of the grouping by bringing these objects in. and we can then click one time to let go. And now you can see these 3 objects have joined us inside the group. And now we can delete the things that we don't want, or just drag this over and place them where we do want them. Now, it is worth noting that these hands can be a little hard to work with. So one trick that I use is I select all of this and then slide this out of the way. So if you've got these hands in the way, you can just slide these out of the way. And then I know that I don't want this, and I don't want this, or this, or this. So I'm going to delete what I don't want. I kind of like the idea of this going at the bottom of the ice cream cone, so it still feels like it's a real mic. It just is stylized differently. And then we can slide this over, rotate it to the direction that we need it, so it's actually like flush with the ice cream cone. And then I'm just kind of eyeballing this. It's not perfect, but it does a pretty decent job. Slide that into the ice cream cone a little bit. And then we'll deselect and then select. Oh, I accidentally zoomed out, so we're gonna have to zoom back in. You can zoom out by double clicking twice with your index trigger. And now all we want to do is move these pieces down, which is a little hard. Oh, I got them. Nice. Okay, there we go. And I want to match this top color to this color here. And I might need to do that zoomed out. So we'll zoom out, and then I can't because my hands are in it. So I think we need to close out of this menu to interact with this color. There we go. And maybe, and there it is. All right, so our ice cream cone microphone has now been designed, and that is how you can update the design of a scripted object relatively easily. You can still obviously go and modify this to your liking, but you can see it now works. We can turn it on. We can switch between global and extended. We can throw it. It functions just like a regular Vidyuu mic. It just looks a lot different. So now that we've designed this, you might be asking, but what if I want to attach the script to an object rather than zooming it in and out? So if say you just have just these scripts. And I think the easiest one to work with here is this return script. So I'm going to make a duplicate copy of this script, and we're going to just call this return general. So this is just going to be a general return script. RETURN. All right, so this is just a general return script now, and so it was already a pretty general return script, and the only thing that's different about it, well, we'll go through that in a minute. Wait, no, let's fix it. Oh gosh, sorry. So this is running the microphone return script, which is just slightly different. You don't need to worry about making these modifications. This return script that I'm making right here is called return, and it is in the Vidyuu Essentials pack, and you can just grab that return script and use it. You don't have to do what I just did here. So all of this that I'm doing is just reverting it to a non-Vidyuu mic return script. Okay. So this is the general return script that you'll find in the Vidyuu Essentials pack. And if we just have this script, but we have, say, a ball object that we want to return, we can create a ball. We can give it all the custom properties we want. We can make it interactive, grabbable, add some physics to it by clicking both. We can even make it bouncy. If we go to the physics tab, we can select bouncy ball from this list. There it is, rubber ball. All right, so we got our rubber ball selected. We can even go to the bounciness and customize and make it super duper bouncy. And yeah, lots of fun stuff you can do in here. And now that we've set this up, the problem is it doesn't return. So if we go to the drop down here, we can attach the return script from this drop down. And now we've got options on this script that we can modify, like how long does it take to return? Let's set that to be 10 seconds rather than 5. Now we have an option to make it instant or delayed. So it looks like it's delayed by default, but if we collect this, it would be an instantaneous return when it's let go. We'll go ahead and turn that back to delayed. And that's it. So those are the properties we have to adjust on here. Now that this ball's been set up, we'll go ahead and play the world. And we've got this nice, super bouncy ball. I can grab it, I can chuck it, and in 10 seconds, it's going to return back to us. And that is how you can use a script and attach it to your own objects just by modifying a few properties. You can make it nice and custom. So there it is, and it's back. So very nice. If you have any more questions about assets, how to use them, or anything around that, please be sure to leave them in the comments. And thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you in Horizon. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye! All right, if you guys are just tuning in, we're not ending. This is just the end of the video that we're recording for a future video. So great to have you guys. Appreciate y'all being here, just looking through. And I wish rubber balls returned when I was a kid. Me too, Craig. Me too. Izin, great to have you. It's nice to see you as well. Kozart says, have you heard any news about being able to add videos to worlds? I will admit that I heard it 4 months ago. I did hear news, and the news is not good, guys. So keep voting for it on user voice. If you don't know what I'm talking about, there's a voice forms you can vote for. Let me go grab the link real quick. Command T, user, Command A, Command C, and back to the live stream chat, Command V. Okay, so if you're looking at that user voice form link there, go into the top page. It's bringing custom content, and if you vote for that, there's a greater chance that we'll see that get added. But I think we all need to keep voting for it, really. Yes. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and see. I see a couple people trying to cuss. Why are you trying to cuss? I see people adding some names here. Meta_pone and Alan Kozart. Let me write your names down real quick. Give me 2 seconds. Meta_pone. And then we got Alan Kozart. There we go. All right. I think that's it for messages I need to approve. All right. So great. Thanks. You know, keep asking questions. You can comment your username if you'd like to be added. I'm going to quickly add. I've got 4 people to add to the list, which is really quick. And then we're going to move on to making a mini map. Looks like a lot of you guys are interested in doing a mini map. There's some interest in air hockey, pool, bowling, or, which is definitely would be a fun one to discuss what we would do with that. There's some great options. I did want to let some of you know who've just joined us that we are ending in an hour because Horizon Live is starting an hour early tonight. So we might only have time to do mini map and maybe one more simple thing after that. But we'll get as much done as we can, and we can always save these for next Sunday. And really appreciate you guys tuning in. It's always a lot of fun. Okay, so go to the copy for, and then, yeah, if you guys ever want to know more about how we make these, this stuff work, it is a lot of work to get y'all added, but it is worth it. I mean, seriously, to see you guys learning and growing and making your worlds better than ever, it's a lot of fun. Boss King OG, invite as editor. Boom, you've been added. Next up, we have Meggie Chan. Meggie Chan. There she is. Invite as editor. Invite as editor. I always click twice just in case I mess up. And then Meta_pone. META_PON. So did anybody notice that they changed the keyboard like completely? Like it's a non-traditional keyboard now. I was wondering why I was having so much trouble using it, but the letters are square. I was watching this like video on keyboards and how they're all offset just slightly. All of our keys are keyed up square, which is just so hard to use. I don't know if that's normal or what, but like I feel like that might be the reason I'm having so much trouble recently. ALLANCO. There you are. Invite as editor. Invite as editor. All right. And then who else we got? I see a couple more names coming in. Buenango. B-U-E-N. Buenango. A-N-G. Maybe that's not a username. Am I spelling it wrong? B-U-E-N-A-N-G-O. No, not a username. I think you're just saying thank you, and you're welcome. Donata, I'm sorry. I don't know a lot of Spanish, but appreciate you being here. A brief explanation on the best uses for lists. That is something we can go through really quickly. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Give me 1 second. And okay. Cell phone down. Thanks for hanging out with me through that, guys. Okay, so the question is lists. How do we use lists? How do we make them work? Okay, I'm not going to go through lists. I'm also not going to keep this stuff, so say goodbye to that ice cream microphone. And what we wanted to quickly just talk about is lists themselves. And if we pull out a script block, your question might be, what is a list? So a list is, much like it sounds, it's a list of things. So under variables, a list can be of any type. You can have asset list, string list, color list, rotation list, vector list, player list, object list, Boolean list. Let's go, or number list. Let's talk about something that's relatively easy to use and think about. So, for instance, a list of strings. So we'll go ahead and check the list option. We'll call this strings, and we're not going to make a functional script today, but I just wanted to talk briefly about lists. So we got a name strings. It's going to be a type string, meaning it's text, and then we click confirm. And then from this dropdown, we can actually make a bunch of custom ones. By hitting this dropdown, we can add strings and have default strings in here like hi world and then exclamation point. And so we can make as many of these as we want. And then what you think about with a list is, okay, what do these represent? So this could be a string of messages, like an avatar with a bunch of sentences that it says in order. And it's like, hi world, my name is so-and-so. Thanks for joining us. And so there could be someone talking to you, right? Or presenting on stage with these text as pop-ups. It could also be a random one that is selected. So you could select a random string from this list, and that could be the message that pops up when you talk to a character. So whatever you want to do is possible with these strings. Now, on this side, you can just type them in manually, but there's another type of list that's super useful, which is like player lists. And so player lists are probably the most common you're going to see used, and I like to call these PLIDs, which stands for player IDs. And then we click confirm. Now, obviously, you can't add players to this from this dropdown because that would be weird. So the way to add players to a list is on the events tab. You can go to when player enters world, and you can do when player exits world. Those are our enter and add, enter the world, and then we add them. So under your operators tab, there's a whole section on manipulation of lists. So you can get the length of the list. We can add users to the list. We can add values to the list, add a specific index. Lots of things I could say here. I mean, I could really go for a long time, so I'm not going to go super in depth. I think the better thing next time, Craig, would be to kind of give an example of what you're working on that you need some help with. But what we would do to make a player list is click add to list here, and then we'd remove item from list. We can then grab our list variable from over here, dropping that into the list pill section over here, dragging player down into the value slot for both of those. This now adds and removes players from the list, which means we can have something happen. So say there's like this script is running on a trigger. So we'd say when the trigger is entered by player, here we go. So when trigger is entered by player, we can then do something, right? So we could say, we could remove the player from the list when they enter the trigger. So that's something we could do. We could also, one of my favorite things to do is you say if player is in list. So right here under list, there is list contains item, which checks to see if the player's in the list. So you say, is the list containing this player? And so you drag both of these pills in. And now if the list contains this player, we do something. So this could be like a VIP list, or in this case, we're going to play a sound. So we'd like go to our actions tab, grab play sound. And so we only play the sound one time per player. And so once the player's played it, we then remove them from the list right here where we say remove item from list. So we then remove the player from the list, we play the sound. But what's important is when they exit the world, this script will break if we don't use this if statement up here now, because this if statement checks to make sure the player is in the list when we remove them. And if they're not in the list, the script's like, I can't remove them, they're not in the list. And then it freezes. So this is important as well. But there you go. That would be a way to like play the sound one time per player while they're in the world. And lots of other really powerful things can be done, but that's where I'm going to end it for today. So thanks so much for asking, Craig. Next question comes in from the Shoe, says bands can have meta build worlds for them. You think they are using the same tools or desktop version? Brands, you're asking. They are using the same tools. I know many of the people who are actually building for brands. They are honestly our peers. You might not even know them because sometimes you might know them and they might not even tell you because they're not allowed to by the contracts they're under. But yeah, a lot of brands are building via creators like you and me, and they're building awesome worlds. And if you're interested in doing some brand worlds, I don't know if I should plug this, but I think it's okay. Vidyuu, we also build for brands, and some of our brands we need more people for. So if you apply to get Vidyuu verified, that's vidyuu.com/VV. We have a program that we use that has all the people listed out, and then we'll select people from that to work with on our projects. So definitely would encourage you to get Vidyuu verified if you haven't. It's also just a great way to learn a lot and kind of fill in a few gaps you might be missing on some educational pieces. So I will post that link real quick so you can check it out. But definitely vidyuu.com/VV is the website where we have the directory, and then from there you can see more. So definitely, if you're interested in that, there's a whole 2-hour video that talks in depth that we recently posted. It's like the second to last video recently posted, and I encourage you to check that out if you have any interest. I'm trying to think what else I can say, but yeah, everything is done in Horizon. There is no desktop creation tools, at least not that I'm aware of, and I don't think they're coming. I think what you might see in the future, based off of the leaks last year, were that they might bring in like the ability to visit Horizon worlds via desktop, but that doesn't mean you could build on desktop. So if that tool is coming eventually, I imagine it's a lot more work, because we work in 3-dimensional space, so we can do a lot more that you can't do with like a mouse and a keypad. So you'd have to like rewire everything in just a very, very different way. All right, so Minimap is still the number one on here, so we're going to go ahead and talk about Minimaps. Thank you, Tape 2. I'm glad that was super helpful. It was 4 hours in this room with the AC off so it didn't make noise, and it got to like 85, 90. When I was getting done at the end, you could just see him covered in sweat. It was so fun, but it was a long morning recording that video, but I'm glad you liked it, so thank you. Okay. I don't know if I want to do this video. I got to do this for the channel. I got to do this one for the channel because it's so important, but it's so hard to do without going super fast. So I guess what I should say first and foremost is an intro. Let's start there. We'll just see where this goes. Yeah. Yes! Congratulations! That's amazing. That is so awesome. Okay. Here we go. I'm going to drink a sip of water. Sip of water. This is it. Minimaps in Horizon Worlds. You've probably seen them in some amazing experiences, my favorite being the two that I created, which were the one in The Village, as well as Nightmare on Your Street by Euphoria. I built the 2 mini-maps in there. They were a lot of fun. I also built another mini-map prior to that, which was in a Easter-themed world. I don't know if it's still functional, but it was a lot of fun as well. And mini-maps are super awesome and powerful, but they can be kind of like, what? How do I even get started? So I want to start and try to show you in a basic terms, but I just need to preface this. This is some high-level math, and we're not going to go through all the math today. I'm going to talk about it and try to explain as best as I can. But if you're relatively new to scripting, this is probably going to be a little more like learn how it works, take a couple other scripting tutorials, come back to this one. But this is a fantastic topic. So really excited to dive in. We're going to start by heading into build mode and thinking about what we want this to be. So a mini-map needs to be to scale. And so the easiest way to build to scale is to clone your world. So I'm going to build some really simple shapes here. In fact, let's actually go to the asset library, and I know they have some really cool environment items here, like this rocky cave, and these things are huge, by the way, so be careful when you pull some of this stuff out. And so you might imagine there's a rocky cave over there, and we might have, oh my gosh, did they copy me for this waterfall? That's too funny. Oh, I'm just teasing Meta because a lot of the assets they've created literally came from the Vidyuu asset library, and they were like, yeah, we can make our own version of that. It makes me laugh so much. I'm like, you guys totally stole that from us, but that's okay. I don't mind. We're all here to help innovate and create. Oh, so funny. Okay, so we've got this waterfall, we got this rock, and then just to kind of give this some more space, I'm going to ungroup this and grab portions of this just to make some environment that looks nice. And we'll just grab some of that. Okay. Scale this up nicely right there. And grab that. Somehow this got shot over here. What? Okay. Okay, and delete that. All right, so this is our map, okay? We're going to walk around this map, and we want to know where the players are at on this. So the first thing you want to do is make a map of it. And I also want to put some content here in the middle, so I'm just going to duplicate in a few of these just to give some kind of like nearby references, and then we'll make them kind of unique shapes like that, and then like that. There we go. Okay. So the first thing that I think is important here is that it remains level. So I'm going to grab a regular cube out of my Shapes tab, just a nice square cube. And this is facing towards me. So I select that and then select everything in this world. And now that I've selected everything, and this doesn't work for all worlds, so just kind of keep this in mind. This definitely works for lighter worlds, but you can kind of apply this concept in other ways too. We can then deselect this guy here. We're also going to deselect this guy here. We then deselect this cube at the top and then duplicate a copy and drag it up. Okay. So here's a copy of our world. We can now group it together and we can then delete this cube here. Now the next step that we want to do is really make this to scale on small. So now if we scale this down, we need to scale it like this. And when we scale it, we get one really cool benefit here, which is that because we grouped it before scaling it, under the Attributes tab, you'll see that the scale is 0.03. So this tells us exactly what the size is. So if I set this to 0.02 on all of our scales here, we should have an easy number to work with. This is 1/50th the scale of the world. So we know that everything is 1/50th in size. And then what you want to do next is not necessarily keep it in this detailed depth. This isn't super detailed, but if your world was really detailed and rich, I'd encourage deleting pieces that aren't really necessary. And so you might consider, we know the size of this is 1/50th, so we just need to remember it's 1/50th. So I'm going to go ahead and ungroup it and create a text gizmo to tell us that it's at 1/50th scale. And so this is just a reminder for later in case I forget. So this is at 1/50th scale. And then I'll put in parentheses 0.02 just to help me remember all the things. And now I've got this little reference for when we're scripting in a little bit. Okay. So there we go. There is that. And with this, we now have, what I was going to say was let's ungroup some of this stuff and delete some of the pieces we don't need, right? Okay, and this is animated, so that's really bad. We'll go ahead and ungroup that so it's no longer animated. Delete that, and stretch this out nicely. And so now it takes up a little less capacity, right? So that's a really important piece, is you want to make sure your minimap doesn't take up a ton of capacity. And then ungroup this. We could even just, delete most of this, really, and just replace it with kind of some really big pieces here. So you kind of get the idea of what it is. It doesn't necessarily have to be exactly the same. Of course, the more close to the actual thing it is, the better it's going to look. And so we'll go ahead and leave this like that for now. And so now that we've got this, we do need to put in a floor. And probably should have done that earlier on when we were building this world, but that's okay. We'll go and make this the same rocky tone. And then I should have put this in the center so we knew exactly where the center was, but that's a-okay. So we're going to drag this nice and big so that we can make sure the center is the center. Okay. And center was kind of right at the middle of these four pieces here. So I want to make sure that this center orange piece is right in the center of these pieces. So that way when we're doing the math on this later, it works well. Okay. So yes, this is a lot of eyeballing, but that's okay because when we need to adjust this later, because this is what we're going to use to reference, we can just scale this to be slightly different. And like that, we've got our center roughly in the center. And we do need to slide this up. There we go. And all the way to right about there, because we know the water is just on top. Okay, so this is about as accurate as we're going to get with our build today. And with a little bit of refinement and just kind of playing with the numbers, you can get this even more precise. Okay. So the next thing we need to think about is, where are we in world space? So we know where the origin position is 0, 0. I have gone ahead and made sure that the origin position of this cube is at 0, 0. And so what I'm going to do is duplicate this cube, open up the properties panel, make this version invisible. I'm going to make this version non-collidable, and I'm going to make it really small. And so this one will function as the reference for the position that is the center at 0, 0 of our world. So we are, excuse me. This is where we are estimating 0, 0 is in the world. And now we can always change this in the future. I probably should have done this earlier on, but that's okay. And then the next thing we can do is now make this whatever we want this to be. This could be like a wooden table. This could be whatever you want. It is just here. And I'll even, just for the sake of design, it'll look like that, right? So that's nice. Now we've got our little mini map here. We can see that it is a little tall. So let's go ahead and move this down. So we can select from here, making sure it's square with the world, then select everything else and slide it down until it's at a human height, right about there. And now when we come into the world, we can enjoy this mini map. Very nice. Okay, so now we've got a really cool in-depth mini map of this world. And the next step is to get people on it. And so I'm going to go ahead and take a quick pause here and read some questions. Okay. They copied the asset spawner after you added it to the bundle. That is funny. Oh, it's so funny. Why did you need that cube if you were going to delete it? Oh, great question. So SappyDev asks, why did we need that cube that was up in the sky if we were going to delete it? We needed something to be square with the world. And so we wanted to make sure that everything was level. And by selecting that cube first and then selecting the whole world, it didn't matter that all these shapes weren't level with the world, because that shape was. And so that made sure everything was level when we brought it down here and placed it onto this cube. So let me know if that doesn't answer your question, but thanks for asking. The next step is to build a small player icon. So this is what's going to represent our players that are walking around the map. And I like to keep these relatively simple, just a little like this with a little head on top. And I like it if the head floats a little bit, I think is kind of nice. And then even maybe shrink this down just a hair. So we'll just scale and slide that there, sliding that up nicely. And this will represent our players on the map. We can then select it, group it together, and then we're going to make it the right size. So we know that it needs to be 1/50th of the player, but I think that's kind of nice like that. And the other thing that we want to do with our player is we want to display who it is on top. And so if we go into our gizmos tab, we can pull out a text gizmo. We can pull out a... Oh, there it is. I'm too small. We can then go ahead and pull out a text gizmo, which when we get this small, you might need to turn snapping off. And then we can go and select the text gizmo and snap it to the top of our cube here. And then I want to type in like a generic name. So I'm going to turn auto fit off. And we're starting to get so small, it's hard to use these menus. So I'm going to just kind of scale out for a minute here. And then type in my name as the default. Lakes05. Although most people have names a lot longer than mine, so I like to add like 100,000, just a bunch of numbers at the end. Basically, this kind of thinks about what is the scale of other people's names as well. And so you might think, oh yeah, that's definitely a little too big, so we'll scale that until we get to the right size. And now that we have that, the next thing to think about is the orientation. And so I've ungrouped this selection so that way our orientation is represented by this guy here. I also like it when there's a little stick coming out of this. So we'll go into our Shapes tab and pull out one of these and just make this nice and long. And this will just represent the text coming out of the top. So we'll just go and stick that right there, trying to get that nice and centered. There we go. And then we can scale that up. And then it looks like these are a little bit off. So I'm going to select that and link that there. Okay. So now we have a little like text piece coming out so you can kind of see who it is. And this is still a little too thick in my opinion. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the Attributes tab and make this ultra thin, 0.01. Oh, no, that's not it. Oh gosh, no, don't do anything. Undo. It's so small. We're so small right now. Undo. Let's go see what this looks like as a player. Yeah, that's perfect. That's definitely the size we want for this. And I'm gonna rotate back around this way. There we go. Yeah, so this is definitely the scale we want. I don't know if I like this on here because this is a much smaller player icon. It's definitely the right scale. So I'm gonna just go and move the text down. And yeah, sometimes this is just kind of like figuring out what you like and don't like. So there we go. Now that we've got this in place, we want to make sure we select the text object first. This is important. We want to select the text object first. This is going to be important for orientation. So you can see the Y is pointing up, and that makes sure that this Y is always pointing up. It also makes sure that the the Z is pointing towards us. We'll go ahead and group those together, and now we have our first player icon. The next thing I want to do with this is color it. And so I like to color mine all unique colors. Sometimes I script the color in. Today I'm just going to color it like that. And now that we have our color, I'm going to change it to a different color that I like even more. Boom, nice. So we got our favorite color up in here. And the next thing we want to do is pull out a gizmo. It's time to start scripting. And so we're going to keep this relatively simple to start. And when I say relatively, I mean relatively. So bear with me here. So I like to call these are PLID icons. So these are going to be called PLID icons because there's going to be one for each player. We don't need when world is started. What we need to know is when the player enters the world. So we scroll down to when player enters world. Go ahead and bring over when player enters the world and when player exits the world. Now that we've selected both of these, we can make sure that this has an event running when the player is online. And so we'll go to our variables tab. The first thing we need to do before we can do that is create a new variable, which is a number that represents IM4 player ID number, IM4 PLID number. And this is a long one. But we'll go ahead and click confirm, and we're going to start with 0. So I'm the only person here, so I am 0. And when we duplicate these, we can change these numbers to be 1, 2, and for how many players you have in the world. And so what you do then is back on the events tab, grab the if statement, so we can check to make sure that I am the player that's entering or exiting. So we say if equals, and equals is found at the top of operators. We can then scroll down to player, and we index of player. And we can get the player's index. Dragging that into the A slot, we'll check the player's index will return 0 since it's me. And then we check that against this IM4 number. And now that we've confirmed that this is who it is, it's me, then we can start running the event. We'll go ahead and duplicate that down here. And then we want to create an event loop. And so we'll then say when event is received. And I'm actually wondering if the easier way to do this might be slightly different. Yeah, I've got a better idea. So let's go ahead and delete this and then create 2 number variables here. Sorry. Back on our variables tab, we're going to create 2 more variables. One will be a Boolean called can loop, which is going to say you can loop. Can loop. All right, so we have the Boolean variable can loop, which tells us when we can and cannot loop. We'll then create another variable, which will be a player ID, and this is called myPLID. So this will be who the player is. And so when the player enters the world for the first time, we're going to set these values. So we set, and then we can now set the can loop value. We can set the myPlayerID value. We can drag this player pill down so that we've saved this player as this player variable here. Then back on our values tab, we can find the Boolean input and set this to be true. And now we've set the can loop to true. We'll duplicate this down into exit and set it to false. We don't need to delete this my player ID. That's totally fine to just leave it as is. And the next thing we need to do is create the loop. So back over here under our events, you'll remember, those of you in the stream will remember, you will find this really cool new code block called onUpdate. If we drag this in here, we can now run this for every frame of the world. And if we go use this if control, and if we bring over this if control code block, we can bring can loop down, thumbsticking to the right to duplicate. And now we will only run these actions if can loop is set to true. So this is going to be pretty nifty. It's a new way I haven't really used before, but I'm excited to try it out. But before we go any further, I think we need to talk a little bit more about the variable for the text object, because this script is attached to this object itself. So we can drop down and select the player ID icon script. And then we need to reference this text object at the top. So let's go do that real quick. Under the variables tab, we'll create a new object called text obj for object, click confirm. And then what we want to do is when the world is entered by the player, start displaying this text. So we're going to go to the actions tab, scroll down to display text, and we're going to display the name of the player on this text object. So grabbing the text object pill to replace self, and then on the display, we're going to replace this string input with operators tab, name of player, dragging that into the string S slot there. We can then drag the player pill down, and this will set that text object to be the name of the player. We do need to reference it though, so we'll open up this player ID icon, click zoom in, open up the properties panel for this text object. Then I'm going to press forward and hold. Then we can double click to zoom out, or you can press the button again up there. And then this text pill we can drag down and replace or fill in this empty slot here. And now we've referenced the text object. Very nice. Okay. I'm also realizing we're still just super zoomed in, so we'll get a little bit bigger here. Apologies if that was hurting your eyes. Wasn't really aware we were so small. Okay. The next thing I was thinking is that when the player leaves the world, we want to make sure this hides itself. And so we're going to hide this at a position. And you'll remember we had that reference position for the minimap, and we need to know the scale of the minimap. So I'm going to create a new variable, which is going to be a number variable for scale. So we're going to call this scale. And we remember that number was 0.02. So I'm going to go type that in, 0.02. And then we also wanted to reference the position of the minimap. So we'll call this object, and this will be called position reference. And then click enter and click confirm. Okay. So with that position reference, we should probably go tie that in real quick. And we'll open up the properties panel. And then I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. And then we'll come down here and open up the properties panel for this object as well. And then we can then drag this cube pill into the position reference pill here. Okay. Now this is not animated, so I'm going to click none on it so it doesn't have animation turned on, which will save us a little bit of capacity. And this is all wired up very nicely. Next up, we're going to start working through some math. So if this feels a little hard, I am so sorry, but I'm going to try and make this as easy as possible. So what are we doing in this can loop? The main thing we're doing is moving and rotating to a position. So I'm going to go here and grab move to, and I think I'm going to use over time. And I'm also going to use rotate to over time. Now this is going to be my first time using delta time, so I'm not really sure what's going to happen, but we'll go and find out. So there we go. And then we are moving self, so that's okay. But we aren't moving or rotating to these positions. So the position we're moving to is a addition. Sorry. The position we're moving to is the position of this cube plus the transformation of where the player is in the world relative to the center of the world and then relative to this cube. If you're not following along, I will like show you the math, and I think it'll start to make a little bit more sense. So what we need to do is on our operators tab at the top, grab this plus symbol, drag that into the position slot, then scroll down to object where you'll find position of object, placing that in the A slot. Now the object that we're referencing is that object we just tied in, the position reference. So that's the position we're starting with, and we know that represents 0, 0 in the world. So then the next position we need to know is, and you have to work backwards with me, and I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, but we have to start with the last step, which is to multiply by the scale. And I know it's not going to make a lot of sense for a second, but once we get to the end, I'll read it through and I think it'll make a lot more sense. So we're multiplying by the scale, which is going to shrink this distance down. So then we need to create the direction from 0, 0 to where we're currently at. So we go to our operators tab and grab a minus symbol, a minus symbol, dragging that into the A slot, where we can put the position of the player subtracted from 0, 0. Actually, do we even need to do that? Because we've referenced it at 0, 0. I don't think we even need to do that. Ooh. Yeah, that's way easier. Okay, never mind. Then we just need to tie the player in. Oh my goodness, that should work. Okay, so just head on. Let me plug the headset in so I don't die here. Never mind, might be a little easier than I thought. So we're going to just go grab position of player from operators, put that into the A slot. The player is our player from the variables tab, my player ID. The position we're going to reference is their torso. And like that, we should have it moving to the right position. To test this, I'm going to delete rotate to for just a second. And there it is. It's not in the right spot. The world is started. If I come in as a player, does it move? Yes, it does. It does. Oh, look at that. Okay. It's a little jittery, I think. Oh, this is so exciting. It needs to be moved up, though. The position is down too much, and so it needs to move up. And the way we can do that is by factoring in the height of this object, because that's what's the problem. See, it's moving it to 0, 0, but the height needs to go up by like just a hair, just an absolute hair. So we can just add another value to that. So let's go back into here, and then we're just going to need to add one more. So I'm going to click undo to bring back our rotate to, duplicate this, delete this, go back to operators. At the top of operators, we're going to grab another plus symbol, putting that in here. We can put everything we just did on the A side, and then the last thing we're doing is at the very end, we're going to go to our values tab where we can grab a vector input, and we just wanted to move this up by just the smallest fraction of an amount. So I'm going to just type in 0.02, and then we will finish this script up because this isn't too hard. So rotation is actually really easy. We go to the operators tab and scroll down to player, and you'll find rotation of player. Actually, it's forward direction of player. So we need to actually go back up to vect. Sorry, this. I thought it was going to be easy. It's not. Sorry. Up here under vector math, we can find look at, which we'll drag here into the rotation slot. And the forward is the forward direction of the player from right here. We can then drag forward into this pill slot. It's going to be the forward of their torso. Dragging my player ID down, we can thumbstick to the right to duplicate. The up is a vector input, which we can find from the value tab. And that is 0, 1, 0, which means that it is always pointing up. Now, if you wanted to do the forward direction of the player's head, you could then, on the operators tab, get the upward direction of the player's head. But because we know the upward direction of the player's torso is always pointing up, we can type in that up of 0, 1, 0. Okay, so now we've got rotation in there. We've got all of this in here. And because this was a little glitchy, I'm going to delete delta time. And we're going to grab a value input of 0.5 and type that into here, which should just make this move a little bit smoother. And let's give it a go. Yeah. Stop and play. Head into play mode. And we can see there I am. pretty accurate. Yeah, that is perfect. Look at that. You can see me moving around, jarting. Oh, that's so cool. And it even looks with me. You can see that my head is, like my name tag is facing in the direction I'm facing. So you can see which direction I am. And if I jump on top of something, my player is in 3D space. So you can see it's actually carrying 3-dimensional space. It's so hard to show you, but because this can be moved anywhere. Also, we done with that. I'm going to delete that. Because this can be moved anywhere, I'm just going to go ahead and stop the world for a second. Move this mini map to wherever we want it. We can just group it together and move it anywhere. So I'll move it up here, for instance. And then if I come in, play the world, play, and then visit as a player, you'll see I am on top of that. Look at that. It's accurate. Oh, so cool. And you can see it actually has me on top of this. The height accuracy is just perfect. We nailed that. Wow. I'm so proud. This is exciting. Oh my goodness. I love building mini maps. We need to do this more often. This is awesome. Okay. There's a couple more things I want to show you because as cool as this is, sometimes you don't want it to be in 3 dimensions. Sometimes you just want it to be in 2 dimensions. So I'm going to go ahead and move this back over here. And there's a couple more things we need to fix before we do 2 dimensions. So let's start by fixing the problem where when the player leaves the world, the player icon just stays there in space. When the player leaves, we need to move to a different spot. So usually what I do is I just click move to and I move it to 0, 0, 0. And that's a great way to move it. But what we might want to do is go to the operators tab, grab the minus symbol, and move it to the position of that reference object, which is like right at the top of that, and then subtract from it with a vector input. And then if we type in the Y, like 0.25, it's going to move all of the player ID icons to this position right in the middle of that cube, so you can't see them when they leave the world. And what we can also do is say when world is started, move them there as well. So we'd say when world is started, move to this position, so that way they're always out of sight. So just thumbsticking to the right to duplicate that whole line. So we're always hiding that below the world. So if I hit play, it should be hidden, and then we'll see it that it's hidden inside of this cube here. Nice. So that is never going to be seen until I come into the world, and then I'm back on the map. Oh, I love the way that kind of rose out of the ground. I'm a zombie. Ah! That's so cool, though. So this is a lot of fun, and you can see it already hit as soon as I left the world, so it's working perfectly. And the next thing I wanted to talk about very, very briefly is what do you do if you don't want it to be... What do you do if you don't want it to be in 3-dimensional space? For 2-dimensional mini maps, you need to take this position reference minus position of torso times scale and do an additional multiplication. So to make this 2-dimensional, we duplicate this, and I'm duplicating just for the sake of making this easier. I can then delete the plus symbol and, oops, excuse me, not the plus symbol, delete this one? I need 2 more multiplications, so I guess we'll delete everything. We were adding 0.02. That's fine because that gets us in the right position. And yes. Okay, wait. So this was right. So here we have the multiplication. Delete scale. And then grab this here, taking position of player, putting it into here. Okay. So what we're doing is we're taking the position of the player and we're removing the Y component. So the Y is your up and down component. So if we go to our values tab, we can grab vector input and type in 1, 0, 1, which will keep the X and the Z, but remove the Y. And now we can move this value back into our number up here. So everything stays the same except for we've added this additional multiplication. So it's still adding to the original position reference. It's still multiplying by scale, but before we multiply by scale, we multiply by this to remove the Y up and down component. And now that will be in the right position without the height factoring in. So if I move here and come step down here, if I jump, yeah, you can see the position, because it's not factoring in height, needs to be adjusted a little bit more, but it's not going to adjust when I jump up and down. It just stays in place in the ground. And so to fix that, we would just add to that 0.02 with like 0.05 or something. And I prefer it with the 3 dimensions. I think that's way cooler. It definitely feels more futuristic. So I'm going to leave it as a 3D mini map. And I think I'm going to add this to the Essentials pack because this is so cool. So the question you might be asking is, how do we make more of these for each player that enters the world? And to do that, we need to duplicate this for every player that could be in the world. So right here, this would be a world that supports 2 players. And we'd type in, I am for player number 1. And then the next one would be 2, and then 3, and then 4. And it's always one number less than the number you support. So if you support 16 players, then it's 0 through 15. And that is how you create a mini map in 3D or 2D. I'm going to take a quick look at the questions and then we'll close out. Welcome, Byron. Glad you enjoyed that. I'm going to quickly read through some of the older messages here. I think it might have just popped up my chat by doing this. I watched the builder part and hey, I got 100%. Da, da, da. So this first shape, the shoes. There's a tutorial on ways to watch YouTube video inside Horizon Worlds while building. There is. It actually just got posted. The latest video. Thank you, Jackal Dude. So appreciate that. 3D Minimap was something I was thinking about this week. I would love to see that. Oh, so great to show you that then, Byron. For some reason, my Surf Facebook 3 graphic card not supported issue. Oh, that stinks. Yeah, VR is pretty picky about your computer's graphic specs. It is so painful. We had to I literally returned a computer because the graphics wasn't the right one. It's so frustrating. Yeah, I might just have to ditch laptop and just move to PC. It really stinks. I totally agree. I would rather be on a laptop too. Time plus delta time. No, I don't know. I don't really understand delta time. I'm sorry. You might understand it a lot better than I do. Use player head instead of torso to help with the height. Oh, that's a good idea. I'm glad you liked it, Byron. I am so glad you liked it. I think I need to hide the chat now that it's popped up in front of everybody. But so glad you've enjoyed that. This has been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed this myself. I'm going to work on this again some more later, but this was a lot of fun. Thank you guys so much for asking. If you have more questions about this, please just ask and leave them in the comments. I gotta do a closing for this anyway. So we'll call this 3D mini map. And then add that to the please sort and click create. Okay. Whew. Well, this has been awesome. Absolutely enthralled with this. If you have any questions, be sure to leave them in the comments. Please give us a like. Be sure to subscribe for more content like this. You can join us on Sundays for more live tutorials. They're at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. And we look forward to seeing you there as well as in Horizon. Bye! Whew. And if you're just joining the live stream, great to have you. We're not actually ending. This is just the end of a video that we'll be editing for the channel. So appreciate you guys joining us. And feel free to keep commenting, voting in the polls above. We've got a tie right now with climbable ladder competing against air hockey, pool, or bowling. So we'll have to do that. Wow, there's some... What are we at for time? We got 20 minutes. So I think we're going to have to do whatever is easiest on our time. So that's interesting. Oh man, I need to take a quick water break. So just give me a moment. But this is a good one. I'm really glad we did this. Test 1, 2. I think you can hear me now. I'm not sure why the audio wasn't working, but so weird. Oh, yes, we are just about for Horizon Live. It'll be starting here in just a few minutes. I'm surprised Oculus hasn't dropped in to say hello. I was going to grab some water, and I think you guys can hear me. I will double check real quick. Okay, cool. Where's the camera? Hello. Oh, and I've lost access to that because I took it off for just a second, but that's okay. I don't know. I think maybe we'll wrap there because I'd like to do these. Oh, weird. It moved over here. Here. So weird. So weird. I don't even know. Oh, hi everybody. Oh man. I think we might actually we might call it here. I can still answer your questions, but I don't know that I want to rush these. Like climbable ladder is something it's going to take some brand new concepts I've never used. It's going to take like an hour. It's going to be an amazing tutorial. I can't wait to do it. Air hockey and pool are very complex. Bowling could be the easy one that we could do in 20 minutes if I rushed it. So I'm like, do we want to rush bowling? I don't think we do. Snapping to grid, we've gone over a lot of the math, so we could talk about that. But yeah, glad you can hear us. Thanks, Jackal Dude. And thank you, Sadrak, for joining us. Appreciate you. And yeah, thank you for watching. Appreciate it. I actually followed this tutorial at 1x. Thank you, Team 2. Hashtag goals. Oh, that's so funny. You guys are great. But yeah, feel free to take this last 20 minutes here to ask any questions. I'd be happy to show some things if you have any other questions you'd like answered that are kind of like little spin-offs here. And like I said, I'm going to get some water. Ooh. So good. So good. So, did you know that Horizon Live is on Vidyuu Nights? Did you know it's starting in 15 minutes? What? That's so exciting. It is a live show in Horizon by Oculus 410. It's a lot of fun. And Vidyuu Nights is only 6 subscribers from 1,000. We would love to hit 1,000 if you wouldn't mind helping us hit that tonight. If you haven't subscribed already, it is just youtube.com/Vidyuu Nights. And I will even grab you the link. That's how gracious a host I am. Just teasing. But no, seriously, we would love the subscription if you haven't already. It's where we post content that's kind of entertainment. It's also like we're going to post content like promo videos for worlds and like things that you might be interested in Horizon. So we hope that it'll help you enjoy your nights. That's what like kind of our channel's goal is to help you figure out what you want to do, what you want to do, and learn more about the things that are available in Horizon. So cool stuff. I'm also going to end the poll now, but I am really impressed. 38 votes. My goodness. That's insane. You guys are like rocking that poll counter today. Really appreciate that. That is so cool. That was a lot of fun. And I look forward to joining you guys next Sunday. We do this every Sunday at 4/7 p.m. Pacific Eastern. And in the meantime, I think I'm going to keep moving around in VR, and you guys can let me know if you have any questions or things that you'd like to see. Just got back from the ice cream. Glad to see you still had it. Oh, hi, Gravity. Great to have you back. Ice cream is great. Oh man, I feel so bad. We're like wrapping up right now because Horizon Live is starting in 15 minutes, and I was gonna see if I couldn't find Oculus and go join him if he's online right now. He's probably like, "Don't join me. It's a secret closed session where I'm planning my." He has surprise guests every week. So if you didn't know that, oh. He's on the One Verse podcast. I probably shouldn't join that. He's probably having some fun there. That's too bad. Anywhere you guys want to see us go? Oh my goodness. Jay Dunnert wants to see us go to Joy in the Morning. And oh my goodness. Whoa. EV Electric Meta Car Show. I kind of have to check this out. Has anyone been here? Great job, dude. That mini map was super helpful. I thought it would be so much more complicated. Me too, Jackal Dude. I really tried to simplify it this time around, and I think I did. Oh man. So where are we? Ooh, this looks good. I love the reflections. I've seen this world before. I know this creator. Who is this creator? Matt Lowe. Duh. Okay. Yeah, Matt Lowe's got some really great design. That makes sense. By Device Technologies. Look at these. Oh. I love the chair though. Wow. Oh my goodness! Look at that thing. I don't know. Wow. That's so cool. I wouldn't drive that in the real world, but that's pretty cool. Maybe in VR I would. Who's here? Hello. Hi.
Hey.
Is it okay if I come in?
Yeah.
Oh, whoa! You guys got snacks and drinks and shades?
Little tiramisu cakes.
I see that. I'll take a quick bite. Oh, they're not grabbable. That's okay.
No, not grabbable.
Drink. Go, 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 go. These shades are so cool. Are you a werewolf? I know, the design here is amazing. Wowza.
Yeah.
All right, well,
That's
I won't
pretty cool.
like stop you guys from enjoying your time here. Whoa, is that text spinning? Can I see that up close? Is it okay if I kind of like take the shotgun
Yeah,
seat?
move around. Yeah.
Thanks. Wow, look at that. And then it's okay. I'm trying to. I think if I know how this is being done right, it's being rotated inside of a object, and then the object's been flattened, and you get that really cool look. Oh, it's so cool.
Yeah,
So
it is.
it doesn't even have to
It's
be
a
like.
flat object.
Yeah, it's like, oh, so cool. Bull. Oh, but nice.
Yeah, you can't turn it off once you start it.
Oh,
really?
that's fine.
Yeah, it's not scripted to like start and stop.
Well,
Everything
I feel bad, but I'm gonna go ahead and bounce you guys. This has been a pleasant experience.
No problem. I was just showing it to Kate.
Sorry, guys. Woo!
I've never seen it before.
That was cool. That was really cool.
I like how he did the reflection.
Yeah, no, me too. That's so nice.
I do like those worlds. A lot of worlds like with the reflections in them.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It does.
Should
It
just
makes
make
it
a whole
look pretty
maze that's just all reflections, though.
cool.
I don't really get them.
Oh, this is another thing that I've really enjoyed in a few worlds where they choose these like elements here that you can kind of pick through, and so it kind of feels like you're in a showroom. Oh man, so good. Yeah, this is nice. Oh, don't do me like this. I want this on my car. Like on my car, you can change the color of it in the like menu, in the properties menu, but it doesn't actually change the real life color. And I would love to try a bunch of colors. But I also don't want to pay for the the wrap, but might have to at some point, just so I can have it. But bye. Oh man, love this place. Okay, great job, Matt. I'm gonna go quickly check out Are You a Werewolf? It's a shameless plug, so let's go take a quick peek. Are you a where? No, nothing popped up? There you go. I spelled it wrong. Did I spell it wrong or did you spell it wrong? Oh no, I spelled it wrong. On my way. Thanks for the invite. Dominoes. Okay. Dion, I love the idea of dominoes. Can you tell me how far you'd like dominoes taken? Like, we could just do snapping. We're not going to do it today, but we could do it next week. I think I said this last week, so I'm sorry. But that's okay. You can like show me by texting in. You can live text in. That's cool. Okay. Ooh. Okay. All right. Priest zone, werewolf zone, detective zone. But like Dion, if you could really tell me a little bit more about what you want to see with the dominoes, I'd like to know which direction we're heading, because there's like multiple methods. We could either do it as like they snap to a grid, or we could do it as like the gaming mechanics where it's counting. I don't know that I necessarily want to build the whole thing. At that point, I've just built the world you're looking for. So I definitely want to know more about what you're kind of interested in that. Love the stars. I'm not sure if they're from the star pack, but I love the stars. Lakes is a werewolf. Oh no, I'm not. I was like interested. Okay. I hope I get a point for that. Oh no, never mind. Don't give me points for that. This is awful. Okay, I used to be really good at these. I used to do these all the time. Like a year ago, I would be in I can't remember. It's called Diamond Rooftop. It's by VR with KR. And at Diamond Rooftop, I would just nail that. Apparently not so much in here. Okay, we got Mickey Mouse ears. We got a wizard hat, the sombrero. We've got I don't know what those are called, but they're cool. That's totally me. This too. Okay, I gotta see this. Oh, I love attachables. No mohawk. Oh my goodness. I'll take the top hat though. Oh goodness, this is too funny. I'll give that a good smile. Oh man. Put a hat on and go up the ladder. All right. I can build the table, but the script part is hard. Ah, yeah. You know, I think that's part of the thing that I'd like to encourage though is post a world page. You know, it's like let me get back to that. I'll get back to that thought. How much time do I got? I got 8 minutes. Okay. We'll do a quick little more in here. Grab the light. We're going up the ladder. Ooh, that's a good looking fire. This is cool. Okay. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. Oh, I'm going the wrong way.
It's supposed to be a full moon tonight. Get inside your house where it's safe.
Oh no! I gotta get in the house! Okay. Select a player to kill. Oh gosh. What? Oh gosh. Ah! I'm sorry, wizard. You're dying tonight.
The werewolf tried to break in a house last night, but the priest had a better plan.
Oh goodness. What is happening? Votes cast. Oh, okay, cool. I have to play this with people. We're gonna have to come and play this with some people, Byron. This is awesome. The werewolf to try and kill some people. They were saved by the priest. I assume it's not super playable from here, but okay. I want to go back to. But no, thank you for inviting me here. This is cool. Very cool. I love this. This is probably my favorite piece right here. The outfits are so good. So yeah, we can do this on Wednesday, by the way. Wednesday nights, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. We do world tours where we do more world hopping like this. And I would love to take a tour to go check out your world here, Byron. I think that'd be a lot of fun. So I was going to say, Dion, is like, totally understand the scripting part and wanting to have it scripted, but like, it doesn't have to be. And I think that's like the part that a lot of people get caught up on is it has like this idea of that everything has to be scripted and has to play correctly. But it doesn't necessarily have to, right? So if you build objects that are physics based, you can then place them and people can actually play a real game, right? Like they get to come up with their rules. So I've recently been playing dominoes on my phone a lot, which is why I love the idea of doing dominoes. And because I've really been enjoying the little mobile app. The hard part is, of course, making it actually follow the rules of dominoes. And so what's easier is if you have a bunch of players and they want to play dominoes, you know, you grab your domino shape, right? So like that's a domino, and then you design all the different styles, which I'm sure you've done at this point. And, you know, you do the thing in the center, kind of like we did the other ones recently, right? So there's like a 2, and then you could do a 1 or whatever it is, and rotate for a 3. So like, you know, you can pretty easily design your dominoes up, and then you want to make sure to use a flat edged cube here. It's an important part of this. Believe it or not, this is a pretty important part. Okay. And then slide that in, and you know, you're on your way to having a fully fledged domino kit. Oops, undo the last one. There you go. And once you start making these like as playable items, people can just play. And I think that's a part we all get hung up on. It's kind of like when I was throwing those the little bean bags. It's not necessarily about the fact that someone's counting it. It's more about the fact that I'm having fun throwing it. And I think that's the part that you should probably try to focus on right now. Like as you learn scripting, you might get to the point where it's like, yes, I can make this a playable game, and like we can have leaderboards and all sorts of crazy stuff. But in the short near term, I'd fully encourage you to like lean in on the skills you're really good at. So like if you're really good at design and making these cool looking dominoes, build the dominoes, make them interactive and grabbable, then make however many you need to make the whole set. And then all of a sudden the players can grab these, right? And you can make them big size too, right? People love big things in VR because you can make them as big as you want. They don't cost any more to make them big. And all of a sudden people are, doing their own games. They're making their own rules. And it becomes this really fun experience that's just more about like hanging out, having a good time with people, not necessarily about, oh my gosh, the rules say you can't do that. So I don't know. I would love to do it because I want dominoes as a game in here, but also I just encourage you not to feel like they have to. We are pretty much at time. I've played this as a board game and I'd love to get a group together to try this out. Yeah. I'm working on it for about 2 months. I think it's finally in a place where it's mostly playable. Yes, we will do that on Wednesday. I would love to. If you're not around Wednesday, I will do it without you. Sorry. You're like, oh no, I will be there. I'm going to go to Worlds and search up, and you guys can join me here if you have your headset nearby. We are going to Horizon Live with Oculus 410. There it is. And Visiting World. I'll see you there. So I got to sign off. So if you're watching on the live stream in the future, thanks for joining us. You can continue the live stream on the Vidyuu Nights channel. That's youtube.com/Vidyuu Nights. And this will also, the live stream there will also be recorded. Hey, Donnie. Great to see you. And bye for now. Oh, did I crash? Oh, I totally crashed. Well, I'll log in with